Hello, hello, my dear folks. This is the second video on YouTube I'm actually publishing. My first video was just a debate, and some videos will be in English, and other I'm going to broadcast will be actually in other languages like Italian and Swedish, maybe also Spanish. I have to find out before. The topic is always why we say our Western guilt we are trapped in, and I'm going to develop this topic. The first video was just a brief and concise, succinct summary on my thought about the issue. I can say that I really feel concerned where we're heading, because I think we're missing more the positive aspects. As I mentioned before, we are kind of only focusing on what is negative in our civilization. I think that if you look at anyone in the world, they all have flaws. I told you, no one is perfect, no one is flawless on an individual scale, and so also on a collective level, where we're thinking about all nations on the planet, or every civilization, where we have actually shady, dark aspects. I think we've been think about the Ottoman Empire conquering Europe and massacring, killing many Europeans in the past, and I don't want, of course, to blame the actual offsprings, descendants of the Ottoman Empire, of course, but I noticed that no one is actually mentioning any Ottoman or Turkish guilt about it. It's kind of only Europeans, and then we can go forward about Chinese Empire, Japanese, or wherever you go. When we talk about the slave trade, we talk about only the Western one and not the Islamic slave trade, which has been really shedding blood and being really hard, and didn't even allow the people, the slaves, to breed and to have their hairs. They couldn't have kids. They were basically mostly of the slaves in we're talking about the Eastern slave trade, castrated millions of them, estimated in 100 millions perhaps. Of course, it's hard to say the exact numbers. This is something that happened so long time ago, so who can tell? But we say general overview, it might be around 100 million who died bleeding in this process of castration when we were transported and carried from the African West Coast basically to the Arabic and Middle Eastern countries. So not to say that the Atlantic slave trade was something marvelous. No, of course there were really flaws and really negative aspects there as well, but they had their offsprings, and if we think about it in the long run, they have been nowadays quite flourishing. I mean, they have a community in the US, even some of them even really wealthy, and generally many of them are doing pretty well. And instead, in the Eastern slave trade, they didn't even have their, as I told you, their offspring, so they didn't have kids, and they just died out that way. So it was a really genocide, if you think about it in these terms. Well, this is just all comparisons I'm making, because no one is actually looking for no one is looking actually for whitewashing or saying that this is good or this is bad. It's just an objective. I'm just telling things how they are, and just trying to be as objective as possible, and I think also we have to really move forward. I mean, can't like standing there and dwelling on the past and thinking about everything. I mean, as we are not really responsible for bad aspects, we are not of even of the positive ones. We have inherited them, but we can appreciate them and think about the responsibility we have to carry out and to bring forward this heritage and treasure it, cherish, and don't let it die out. Cause my personal belief is that when we don't treasure something, when we don't appreciate it, when we take it for granted, that's the case when we can lose it so easily, and that is the threat. I'm not saying here that we are actually that we are doomed, not at all. But if we follow this pattern, maybe we might be doomed. Cause if we don't fight and stand up for ourselves and treasure what we have, we might easily lose it. That's my consideration, my personal view. And I noticed watching many channels on YouTube, but I'm not the only one, luckily. So I might get support and cooperation from different parts and different sides and people who think likewise. And in my humble opinion, I started this channel because I want to give my contribution, my small contribution to the cause. I'm not actually pretending I'm saying the word, saving the world or whatever. I don't get this disease of that is really affecting many people, that they are thinking they are kind of world savior. Especially we can see this in the environmental among the environmentalists, which think they are changing the world and bringing everybody together in unity and peace and harmony and love, and saving from the global warming or climate threats or whatever. This threat instead, I think, to our civilization is something more real. I'm going to actually face in another video the climate, actually my opinion concerning the climate change so-called issue, I mean, which is on my personal view, and not only according to personal view, is something made up and just a hoax, a scam to gain power. In order to gain power, make more money. Well, this is something I will talking more in some videos, in other videos I'm going to record in the future. This is my debut actually on YouTube, so improve the quality of this broadcast, and you'll gain. I'm just actually gaining confidence right now, recording and letting me know. Well, and let me know what you think about it. Thank you for watching, and see you next. Take care. Bye.